taking a stab at finishing up my coloring book. So all of the pieces have been done for the book. So we have everybody from Harley Quinn to Batman to Panthro. I have some Voltron in there, and then I have a very cool special big piece for the rest of all the people that picked up this book. So it's going to be a fun little piece for everybody to get. So today I'm going to finish up Harley Quinn, hopefully get two more done, and I'll do casts on both of them. We're just doing digital inks today, and then getting the book out for print. And those should hopefully be ready to go out the second week of August. So we're August 1st, so hopefully about the 14th, everything should go out. If you decide that you would like to get a copy of this, or if you have any questions, please feel free, leave comments. The link for purchasing the book is at the bottom of the screen or at the in the description. Make sure that there are about 20 pieces that are left up for grabs. It'll be the original pieces that made up this book. So for 20 bucks, for the last 20 people that I have, you're going to get an original piece from the book. You're going to get the book, and you don't have to pay any shipping. So it's not a bad deal, 20 bucks. So if you have any questions, again, just leave them down in the comments. I will answer them as quickly as I can. And I'm going to just knock out the mic for now, so that way I can just bang through this, and I will be back with you guys as soon as we are done. All right, so I'm going to put the mic back on because I have some stuff I want to talk about. So one, I can kind of help you guys out and to also remember what in the world I usually do. So here's a common issue that I personally have been running into. Um, so if you get yourself into a project, um, such as this one, because I decided to do something called Littles, which is my since I couldn't do chibis, I never could get my head wrapped around that, and my skills just were not ready for that. I came up with Littles, so they're kind of like a mix between a chibi and full size person. So what I did in doing this, it was for 31 days, yeah, so all the month of July. Fun little project. But what ends up happening once you do something for a long period of time, it becomes a habit, and it's true. Um, so what I ended up doing is everything that now that I'm drawing, unfortunately, happens to have like a little's impression on it. Not saying that I don't like that, I just don't want to be stuck in that rut for a while. So this one I'm going to have to, I'll give myself a little bit of a breather. And I would tell you guys, if you're ever doing a project and you get stuck, kind of try to do other things with it. So do a little bit of this, like do a little bit of this type of style, get yourself um, into one thing, and then this is only in the trying to create phase. You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Um, don't don't just do one thing, because if you do that, you're doomed to just get stuck in it. It's hard to get yourself out. So that's a recommendation that I would give to all of you. And like I said, I'm just trying to get my process down so that way I don't run into this thing again. But needless to say, this has been a fun project because some of the stuff I've come up with, I love. I mean, every day was a new adventure because I had a plan, and for about 90% of it, I had all of the characters that I wanted to do done because one, I wanted to work on my females because that's one of my areas I don't draw a lot of, and I wanted to start getting a little more proficient at that. So I made sure I had plenty of that because I have like Daenerys from Game of Thrones in there. I have Harley, of course. There's a Batgirl in there that nobody has seen yet, but she will pop up in the book, and you guys will be able to see that. But it's been a very, very cool process to see all of the stuff that came out of this project. I would tell you that's one of the things that I found helps when you do stuff like this, guys. Plan, plan. Because if you don't have a well laid plan, you're gonna get stuck. That's a guarantee. It's a guarantee, especially when you start getting into something like this. Um, and I found this to be true, especially when I was doing and still finishing up my Kickstarter. It's very important that you know what the plan is, make sure you understand all the steps, and then execute in a very quick fashion. Because it's with an artist, artists have this thing where after a period of time, and it could be a small period of time, they kind of get out of the desire to do that specific project. They want to move on to something else. So I would tell you, if you're that kind of artist, work as hard as you can, as much as you can in the very beginning, and get about, I would say 75, 80% of the way through it, and then you can jump off of it. I'm sorry, not jump off, but slow down a little bit, because at that point you've gotten the majority of the hard parts out of the way, and you can kind of cruise to the finish line. This is one of the things that I was doing when I came up with this project, because I wanted to do a few different things. One, I wanted to create a book, a coloring book. And I did that. That was goal number one. That was number one of the plan. Goal number two of the plan was to be consistent and draw these characters every day. Done. Did that. Um, Number three was trying to speed myself up so that way when it comes to going to conventions and whatnot, I'm not sitting there trying to spend 2, 3 hours doing something that takes an hour. Now, granted, there's going to be those times that I will have to talk, but that's something separate from this conversation. So there there was a lot of things going into this particular project that I wanted to achieve, and now I can actually time myself properly and get myself ready um, for my next con. So, so what else has been on the plate? Well. So in addition to doing all this fun stuff, um, when I say you got to find other projects to do, I personally do graphic design on the side. I opened up my company. Uh, thank goodness to leaving my full-time job. I was able to open up a graphic design company where I'm able to do all things business related. So I can do cards and all that fun stuff. I can do pretty much any type of graphic oriented project from murals to cards to posters, all that fun stuff. You know, we're getting ready to start doing airbrush t-shirts, which is going to be fun too. Um, and just when I say that you get projects, um, I do websites, which is fun because you don't have to do all of this craziness that with illustration. It's more of like a process of building like a piece of like taking a piece of clay and molding it into something. That's what this is. So that's a fun little project that I'm working on right now, and I have a couple of sites and I have a couple of customers that I'm dealing with now, and can't wait to see what their pieces come out to look like. Because like anything, I mean, I do these projects and I want to see what the end result is going to be, and usually I'm very happy when I get them done. So what am I doing here? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into why I got back on this mic because I want you guys to really know what's going on. So the process for doing this particular type of art is this. Okay, one, this is more of a obviously this is a coloring book. So that being said, if you ever take a look at a coloring book, especially when it's character based, a lot of lines are thick and there's a lot of lines that are thin. The primary character in most coloring books has these very large thick lines. So you'll notice when in the beginning of this video, I traced the entire character with this large black. So basically it's a hard brush at a 25 pixel. And I went all around that. So now I'm just fine tuning, getting all the details in, and I'll switch between a 10 to a 15 size on my brush, and that's all I will use. Some of the hotkeys that you can use, or at least that I use, are going to be like B for brush, E for your erase, and then R for rotate. So if you guys ever see me hit the R, that'll cause the picture to kind of rotate like what you would see on like an animator's desk. Which, if you don't have a Cintiq, unfortunately I don't have one yet, but in the future will. It makes it easier. It makes it feel like I actually have a physical piece of paper and I can go around and I can fix things and I can make it feel like I'm actually drawing on a piece of paper. So if you guys have never used that particular piece, it's very vital. So I would tell you, use it as much as you can. Um, I apologize if I'm using it in on this because I know it can be kind of make you feel like feel like you're going dizzy. So, anywho, that's those are a couple things I wanted to throw out there as tips. So again, make sure try using that hard brush. Pen tool is kind of hard to use when you're doing illustrations, so you want to definitely use the brush, and I'll give you a lot of difference. So if you ever take a look, you'll see a thick and you can see a thin between your lines. Let's go into something a little bit different too while I'm doing this video, because I think it's very essential for those of us that are learning and that have learned. So say for example you have your new tablet or Cintiq. Um, you want to be able to get that thin and thick line change. So first things first, you got to click on your brushes tool, which is this guy right here. It's got the two brushes that are on opposite directions. The hard brush is this guy right here. It's that big guy right there, or this guy right here. I tend to use this one because that'll give you the thick and thins from the get-go. Click on brush and you'll see this guy right here. Now this is exactly how your brush will come out. So it shows you from your lightest press all the way to your hardest press back down to your lightest press. Okay, so that's how you get that thin and thick change. So I wouldn't really tell you to touch any of these other settings. Shape dynamics is the big one that you got to watch. This is where what will change your brush. You'll notice as I change the jitter, that'll change the texture of your actual brush. Okay, this right here will change the thickness of your brush from beginning to the end. Okay, again, don't really have to touch it if you don't want to. Your angle, and usually this only gets affected minorly by the brush, and basically it thins it out a little bit more. And then you got some more jittery, which will thin it out, plus it'll give it some more texture. Again, you don't have to ever touch those. If you take a look right here on the right hand side where it says shape dynamics, once you click this little lock, all of your settings that you have made for shape dynamics stay. Now from time to time, Photoshop will kick them out, so you'll have to turn off Photoshop, load it back up, and then your settings will be back again. That usually will fix that problem, so just keep that in mind. Brush tip shape, the one thing I would just tell you on this is just keep settings where they are. Unless you want to change them, usually this stuff works out just fine. So the other thing I would probably tell you to do, let me see where it is here. Okay, back in the shape dynamics, make sure this is on. So where you see control right under size jitter, this is very important. So when you do your thick and thin, and so you're pressing lightly on your tablet, or you're pressing really hard on, or pressing really light on your Wacom, this pin pressure is what affects that. So think of it like this: if I did not have pin pressure on, the thin and thick would never happen. That's essentially what the pin pressure is. The more pressure you apply, the thicker it is. The less pressure you put on, the thinner the line is. So make sure pin pressure is always on. That setting right there, if your drivers are not loaded, this will not pop up and you'll see a little triangle. Now this is only on CS5 and I believe CS2 that you'll see that come up, but it'll be a triangle, and that's basically letting you know that your drivers are not loaded. All right, so that is done with the learning portion of it. I'm going to jump back off of the mic. If you guys have any questions, concerns, any of that stuff, please leave them in the comments. I will address them as soon as I am done with this piece. So I will talk to you guys in just a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are pretty much almost done with this one. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to bang out the last little bit of this, and then we'll get on to the next one. So until later, I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.